Welcome to Divisive Issues, a comic book podcast where we also talk about movies sometimes. I'm Ryan Lynch.
I'm Sly Crappo.
And I'm Phil Maverickius.
And who's hiding over there?
I'm Darryl Stefan.
Darryl?
Darryl?
Hi,
Welcome.
that's me.
We have a guest.
You can come out of the corner, Darryl. Come over here.
You come out of the closet, Darryl.
Sure, I'll do that too.
So we brought on Darryl for this episode because we're actually doing a movie based on one of his favorite comics, Fant4stic, or as I like to call it, Fant4stic.
Yeah, why do you call it that?
Because the fucking poster always presents it as Fant4stic.
No, they did Fant4stic, right?
Yeah.
Fant4stic, yes.
Fant4stic.
I thought this was Darryl's favorite movie. You said you love Fantastic Four. I assumed you meant the 2015 movie.
Yeah, I love Fantastic Four, and I especially love Victor Von Doom. He is a great villain and one of my favorites.
And you love this presentation of him, right, Darryl?
And the presentation of him in this movie is flabbergasted.
Oh, that sounds like a really good way to sell a movie.
So now,
Yeah.
since there's been a bunch of Fantastic Four movies and none of them have been really popular,
Or good.
yeah, we should give a little bit of backstory of which one this is. So
We know already. It's Fant4stic, right?
yeah, it's Fant4stic. There was one in the 90s that never got released that Sly talks about all the time, but it never came out.
Everyone keeps saying it doesn't count, Sly. Shut the fuck up. Doesn't count.
So it never came out. And then there was the one in... When did the first, mainstream one come out?
2004?
2004. And that had Chris Evans, who went on to play Captain America, as Johnny Storm. And that's pretty much, the only noteworthy part about it.
Michael Chiklis was good in it.
Yeah, Michael Chiklis is great in it, but,
Also, what's her name?
Oh, Jessica Alba. Yeah.
The only reason I want anyone saw it just because she has Jessica Alba. Yeah.
I remember that.
And then that had two. It was Fantastic Four and then Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Well, Galactus was a cloud.
That's all I know about that
Wow.
movie.
I never even saw
Galactus
it.
was a cloud.
Spoilers, guys.
That's honestly not a bad movie until you get to Galactus as a cloud.
Nah, even then, it's just it's an interesting interpretation.
I didn't think the first one was that bad either.
The problem with almost all these movies is none of them are atrociously terrible except for this one. They're mostly just largely forgettable.
Yeah, they
Yes.
are pretty forgettable. So one thing that a lot of people don't know that I think we talked about on the Days of Future Past episode is that Fox owns the rights to Fantastic Four and X-Men and nothing else. So Fox keeps making these Fantastic Four movies because they don't want to lose the rights. But they haven't done a good job, and they don't make money. They don't make money, so they should really just give the rights away, but that's besides the point. So this one came out in 2015. It was the most recent one, directed by Josh Trank, right?
Yeah, Josh Trank, who was at the time an up and coming rising star. He probably isn't anymore because of the events of this movie. but basically, he created a movie called Chronicle, which was a found footage movie, for camera, first person POV style.
Blair Witch Project.
Yeah, Blair Witch
Cloverfield.
Cloverfield, and basically it was
My Home Movies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but.
My favorite of the three.
Critically acclaimed.
Well, basically, it was found footage about these people who manage to get superpowers. One of them goes bad, but one of them goes evil, and the other decides to stop him. And then he got this movie, and it got a very controversial reaction right from the start, because from the start, they were like, we're not doing Classic Fantastic Four. Ben Grimm's not going to be fucking big, burly Jewish guy from Brooklyn. He's going to be fucking Jamie Bell.
Jeez. One of the big things that rose this to controversy was the casting of Michael B. Jordan as Johnny Storm.
Oh, yeah?
Because he's black and Johnny Storm's white in the comics. And Sue Storm is his sister, and she's white in the movie. So a lot of people are like, this doesn't make any sense. Are they not going to be brother and sister? But, they are still, and it's fine. It's not a huge deal.
The bigger controversy here is having Michael Jordan in the cast is pretty crazy.
Michael B. Jordan.
Oh, yeah, Michael B. Jordan.
He is Jordan. He's Michael B. Jordan, guys.
Pretty famous.
A little old for the role of Johnny Storm, but they made it work.
Yeah. And his basketball skills in that one scene are really top-notch.
I thought it was pretty interesting that they reused the aliens from Space Jam as the villains in this movie.
I love Bugs Bunny's cameo. It was great.
I thought this was a Space Jam sequel.
I'm surprised we slipped in the Space Jam reference.
Don't ever be surprised.
The fan backlash was very relevant because when Josh Trank, basically he and Miles Teller, the main actor who plays Reed Richards, got in trouble because Josh Trank did a lot of drugs and smashed a lot of hotels while directing.
Smashed whole hotels, not hotel rooms, whole
Yeah.
hotels. He was Godzilla.
He became the Hulk. He actually is secretly the Hulk, and no one knew.
But Fox doesn't own the rights.
Yeah. And he said, "Why'd you do this, Josh Trank? We don't have the rights to Hulk. We can't use any of that footage. Fuck you, get out of here." But basically because Josh Trank was a shithead on set, and he was basically locked out of the editing room and locked out of the reshoots they have for the film, which you can notice the reshoots in the film because whenever they have a reshoot, Kate Mara puts on the ugliest wig humanly possible. And
It's not
Humanly possible.
It's not ugly. It's kind of.
I don't know. It's like fucking Halloween level tier.
It honestly just looks like her hair is a little more blonde than usual.
Yeah, that's what I was.
It's like
oh,
so
too
fluffy.
long.
It doesn't look like her natural hair at all. Just compare her regular hair and her fucking wig, and you'll see a sharp difference.
I've smelled her hair. It's not it.
Yeah, as a fucking guy who stalks Kate Mara, I'm adamant about this point.
Not as fluffy. Same, different texture.
But basically, Simon Kinberg, the writers, we don't know who did the reshoots, but rumors are Simon Kinberg. Rumors are it was Matthew Vaughn, both of who are producers on this. But either way, they did a terrible job and basically tried to make it more comic accurate when this movie was not meant to be comic accurate from the start. So they made Doctor Doom was supposed to be like a fucking.
Wait,
gamer
spoilers. We're spoiling from now on.
But I'm just saying what the movie was supposed to be because the movie was not this exactly. But basically, Doctor Doom was supposed to be a guy who has robot drone Doombots, and he's a guy called Domoshev, like a Gamergate hacker style guy. What? And they made him into. We're gonna make him retroactively Victor Von Doom, the fucking guy from Latveria who is a fucking dictator when it doesn't work at all.
Especially because he's not a dictator in the movie.
But like he is from Latveria, they try to like squeeze in all this exposition.
And that's one of the things that makes this movie so flawed is there is a very harsh tone shift, sometimes from scene to scene.
Yeah.
And it's pretty obvious how, like, there was definitely more than one person working on this movie, and they did not have a cohesive vision together. But we'll get into that as we go through it.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And they're all drunk, and they're all, like, on coke.
No, too many cooks in the pot, Phil. Get it right.
I forgot about that.
Empty hands are the devil's music makers.
You did say that yesterday.
I did. I'm not good with
Words.
words, yes. So because I'm not good with words, let's open this up with Darryl, our guest star.
So before we get into the movie, so what we mentioned it before that you're a Fantastic Four fan, Darryl. What is your experience with the Fantastic Four?
As a person that read them a while ago that doesn't pay attention to a lot of writers, I don't know the exact issues that I read through. I think it was specifically Mark Waid's run.
Yes, the greatest.
That's when a lot of people got back into the books with Mark Waid's run. That's like a lot of the modern era of Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I read about 100 issues around there.
That's a decent chunk.
Yeah.
And you had seen this movie before, right?
Yeah, and I've seen the old Fantastic Four movies as well.
Okay.
You haven't seen the 90s one, have you, Darryl?
Not yet, Sly, not yet.
As soon as it comes out.
So we should ask Phil, what's Phil's experience with Fantastic Four? Because I know his experience is positive.
So Sly made me read Fantastic Four in, 8th grade. I don't remember what books or issues they were.
It was a 60s classic Stan Lee, Jack Kirby comic.
Okay. And I did not enjoy them. Maybe I would going back because that was 13 years ago now. But at the time, I found it really way too campy. And I was reading other 60s comics, too. He was having me read Spider-Man and X-Men and Hulk. And for some reason...
They were the campiest?
What?
They were the campiest?
Oh, they definitely are.
They were definitely the campiest.
Okay.
I'm not dissing Dr. Doom. He's just the whole setting was very campy. And I hadn't seen any of the movies because A, I wasn't that interested in Fantastic Four, and B, everyone said they were shit. So I avoided them until yesterday.
Ryan's probably the biggest fan. I am a fan of Fantastic Four mainly because of Ben Grimm. If you remove Ben Grimm, I will like them significantly less. But because they have Ben Grimm, I will call myself a fan.
I'm a huge fan of everyone in the franchise that's not Johnny Storm, because fuck that guy. But
Yeah.
but I'm a big Fantastic Four fan. I've read a lot of Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
But okay, so what happens in this movie?
Darryl.
All right, so we opened with Reed Richards, a young Reed Richards in elementary school, being yelled at by his teacher.
Homer Simpson.
Yeah, Dan Castellano.
Yeah, it's the voice of Homer Simpson. It's not like a horrifying animatronic real life Homer Simpson, like that episode where he falls behind the bookshelf and turns into a 3D man. It's not that.
Exactly. unfortunately.
Fox does have those rights.
They do, actually. Maybe that's why they had...
That's why it's there.
Yeah.
They're like, you need to promote this movie.
So why is Homer Simpson an asshole to Reed Richards?
That's a good question.
Because Reed Richards is trying to explain, and remember, he's a kid too. He's trying to explain his quantum teleportation
It's
theory.
career
and
day.
building it.
He's presenting what he wants to be when he grows up.
And he's like 10.
Yeah. And his teacher just doesn't think this is feasible or
His
real.
teacher's like an asshole. He's like, we asked like not a fairy tale. We asked for what you really want to be. Reed Richards, fuck you for trying to aspire to things, you fucking
Yeah,
dick.
and 10-year-old Reed is like, I'm working on building a matter transporter. I want to be the first person to ever be transported. Like, basically he's saying, I want to be a quantum physicist and a research scientist.
And he says those exact words. He's not saying like, I want to be this.
That's what I thought was so jarring about that scene. It's not like he's like, I have a teleporter, and then it ended.
Right, it's like clear that it's like this kid is smart.
Yeah.
And his teacher's like, is this going to be like your hover car?
Because he explains it.
And the thing is, Reed, this is his teacher. So obviously, if Reed is a super genius and a child prodigy, this teacher should know that. Because, he is his teacher.
I also want to bring this up because they say this is supposed to be 8 years in the past, like in the not even the 90s, 2006 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, because 2006 is in the 90s, like.
But like, the reason I'm confused is because they have N64s in Reed's house, and the movie, the whole backstory is basically filmed like it's in the 1950s, and it's supposed to be Long Island. But as Joe pointed out when we watched it, that it doesn't look like Long Island at all. So like this whole backstory is like a complete anachronism.
I didn't get that it felt like the 50s at all. They're like texting and stuff.
But they have like the whole way it's shot, like the brown tint they have to it. They have the
I
dress,
see
like,
what you mean.
It's all very 1950s, like because like I feel like it's because a lot of people in the 80s filmed their backstories like that, and now they're trying to do it in the modern day, but the 80s didn't, or the 90s or 2000s in this case, didn't look like the 50s.
I definitely felt that way too. Even like the house, his garage looked like some old like 60s garage when it was supposed to be
N64s.
2008. The Wii U was coming out in 2 years.
Yeah.
The peak of modern technology, the Wii U.
That's our frame of reference for time, the Wii U. Like, how long is this from the Wii U?
I think the setting actually is weird too. Like, not to harp on like what you can see from Long Island or whatever, but when they, at some point in the movie, when they go to New York City, they're like shocked at it. They're like, "Wow, have you ever seen something like this?" If you live on Long Island, you've probably been to the city. Before.
Yeah.
Well, later on, Ben is like, when they're in the city, he's like, "Oh, it's only a 40-minute train ride. It's not that big of a deal."
Yeah. But earlier they're like, "This is the land of dreams."
They're walking through like
Manhattan.
when Madeline gets into the city for the first time, and she's like, "Wow."
Yeah. It's like let's go back to like the cliche style of narrating backstories. Like they're filming like it's 1950s, and they're in like a small town in like Georgia, and they're getting to the big city finally.
They're in Glen Cove on Long Island.
Yeah. As Joe pointed out, it's like you can see the city from Glen Cove.
But apparently you can't. I don't know. I don't go to Glen Cove. But
Yeah.
Joe complained that like it's framed in a way that the city's like looming in the background, but like that doesn't make any sense.
And Joe was very positive towards this movie, by the way, and except for that part, he's like, "Why did they fuck that up?" I would have loved the movie if it wasn't for that part. Not really, but I liked. But he was really heartbreaking on it.
That's why Joe's not here. You couldn't let him be here. We're like, you like this movie?
Yeah.
We want to be divisive, but not that divisive.
So how was next, Darryl?
So, and then after there's a kind of like stocky kid in the back that's revealed to be Ben Grimm, and he goes up and he sees that little Reed Richards, when he sits down at his desk, is writing like all these smart notes. So he makes like a note to himself to be like, "Oh, this Reed kid is smart." He doesn't say it.
He's smart.
And then we cut to Ben's house, where I think one of the most jarring things of the movie happens, where he goes inside and his brother starts smacking him in the face.
And says, "It's clobbering time," which is Ben Grimm's classic catchphrase.
He doesn't actually say that.
I was thinking,
He
like, did
he
I
does.
miss that?
He does say that.
No, the brother says it's clobbering time and slaps him across the face.
Wait, he does?
Yeah.
He does.
Okay,
Oh
that,
my god.
that makes it so much worse that he says this then.
Yeah.
And then Ben's mom comes to the rescue and grabs the older brother and starts smacking him in the face, telling him not to smack people in the face.
All I wanted
Who
was
taught you that? Who taught you to smack me in the face?
Yeah.
Huh?
I wanted a I learned from watching you moment, but we don't get that.
And then they should have said, funded by the National Association for Drug-Free America.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's a shocking thing because it doesn't get brought up ever that this is his life.
Yeah,
it's a one-off, just like, hey, his life sucks, but it's like it doesn't reflect in his personality at all, and doesn't reflect in his actions other than at the end of the movie saying it's clobbering time. Like,
because that's a fun throwback.
Yeah, Ben barely has any like association with this film. Like, he's barely a character.
Yeah, no, but childhood trauma always comes out as catchphrases. Like, if you remember in the new Batman movie where Batman yells, "Oh no, my parents are dying," every time he's about to punch the Joker.
So, what does Ben Grimm see while at his house?
After he goes outside after getting smacked up, he sees Reed Richards is out there looking for a
power converter.
Yeah, and Reed Richards is like, don't hurt me. I'm just looking for a power converter. So him and Ben go over to his house because he wants to see what he's making because he knows he's a smart guy. And he goes into his garage where you see like the classic like garage laboratory where it's like all these amazing parts and machines.
It's a cool set piece, and
it is a cool set piece.
It's the thing, like you mentioned the N64s before, but I actually think it's pretty cool. He has like a rack of like a dozen N64s, and it's supposed to show like he's still a 5th grader building really advanced science stuff, but he's using like stuff that a 5th grader finds cool.
10 years before this.
Yeah, he's very retro.
Well,
he's a retro
where's
gamer.
a 5th grader? He can't buy a dozen Wiis. They would be way more expensive.
No, you could use a computer, which is more powerful than all those N64s combined.
That's true. He could use a computer.
Maybe his dad doesn't let him have it.
Maybe at the junkyard.
Also, I just bought a Wii for $30. They're not expensive.
So, what happens when Reed and Ben do the experiment, Darryl?
So they activate it, and they use, was it a toy car?
Yeah.
They activate it. Oh, I also just want to bring up that Reed says that where Ben lives is awesome, and Ben says nothing.
Yeah.
Like another like lost opportunity to at least have a heart-to-heart with him. Whatever.
Well, I have a theory that this movie was supposed to spend a lot more time on like them as kids and their personal lives. And, like, I don't really think that I think, like, the whole climax, Act 3, is kind of tacked on by the other director. And I think it was supposed to have a lot more to do with this, because they introduced so many things.
Do we know if there's, like, a director's cut or anything? Because it seems like this movie would benefit from having lost scenes.
Here's the thing. We were talking about this when we first saw this, me, Ryan, and Joe. The problem is, like, director's cut never happened unless... They never happen when the directors... and the studio like break up and the movie bombs because there's no financial reason to make a director's cut of this.
Yeah.
All right.
Because like the studio doesn't want Josh Trank to get like credit for it, and they don't expect if people already didn't buy it or even go see it. Like it had like a really really bad box office run.
Yeah, I believe Josh Trank said like the weekend it released, like there's a cut of this that is great and you guys will never see it.
I mean, we saw it like it was like 2 nights after it came out, and it was an empty theater.
Yeah.
But, you know, what are you going to do?
So, what happens when they do the experiment?
So they activate the quantum teleporter, and actually does work. It does teleport the thing away, but it like at the cost of powering down the whole neighborhood.
Yeah, it blacks out everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then what's left in its wake is like this sulfur dust, and they don't know where it's from.
Ben says like, "Where did that come from?" And Reed's like, "Wherever the car went." Which is like kind of a cool thing, I think.
And then it's 7 years later. We're already jumping ahead.
Oh, also real quick, Reed has built a teleporter and doesn't know how to use a screwdriver, and Ben shows him how to use a screwdriver as a kid. I guess to show that he's street smart.
I think that's fair. It's like, look at, it's like Ben knows basic things. But
how do you make this thing without understanding a screw?
Yeah, like seriously. That's like the first thing you have to look up when you're...
They could have done that so much better by having Ben take apart the car that Reed was stealing the power converter from, because that's much more of a hands-on thing. A screwdriver, like you're going to tell me he hooked up a dozen N64s to a big power rig and doesn't know what a screw does?
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, Ben actually is here with Reed in a scene.
Dirty old Miles Teller, dirty old Jamie Bell in like an elementary school... fucking science fair.
Okay, we have to paint this picture. They're at a science fair now, and I guess they're supposed to be high schoolers.
Yeah.
But all the other
They don't
people...
look like high school. They look like Jamie Bell and Miles Teller now.
But they're supposed to be like 16, 17 or something.
Yeah. That's a problem with Hollywood in general. I'm not really going to fault this movie for
teens
casting
are always
30-year-olds.
25.
I feel like they're doing that less now, but like Fox is a studio that very hinges that old mentality of get an actor that's 30 years older than teen to play a teen.
But this science fair is filled with just little kids. And
making potato fucking batteries.
yeah, they make like potato clocks, and like one of them is just he made like one of those like styrofoam planes that you get in like a box of Cracker Jacks. It's not a science fair project, and the teacher is the same teacher from elementary school.
Homer Simpson.
So I would like to think that Reed and Ben are still in 5th grade, and either have like Jack's disease or are like super left back.
They have to have the Jack's disease because how are they Miles Teller and Jamie Bell at 16?
That's true.
So, what is their experiment at the science fair?
It's the same experiment that Reed's been working on the whole time. He still wants to quantum leap teleport things.
He brings his quantum teleporter to a high school, or an elementary school science fair.
More evidence that he has Jack's disease because he was working on this when he was a little kid, and he's still working on it only 3 weeks later.
And so
Does it work?
it does work. They borrow the styrofoam plane from the other kid, and they teleport it away. And for some reason, Homer Simpson is not impressed with this.
He says it's not a magic show.
Yeah, he says, this isn't science.
Yeah, because, again, they didn't bring the plane back.
They did. They did. It was just dusty.
Yeah, they bring it back.
Oh, yeah, dust from China.
He's like, this dust could be from maybe the Guangzhou Desert in China or some other desert.
And not only does it bring it back, but it has a huge energy pulse that shatters the backboard of the, basketball hoop.
Yeah.
And it also, has all these really cool flashing lights and, science effects. Even if it wasn't teleporting, even if that was, part of the part of the magic trick, it's still a really impressive thing for a 16-year-old to make.
Yeah. Especially in the fucking science fair where the potato clock wins first place.
Second place. They never tell us what wins first place.
It is insane that this teacher says this isn't science.
Yeah, and he even has other teachers with him, and no one's impressed by this.
This is one of those things where they're trying to show Reed's and Ben are oppressed and misunderstood, but it's so cartoonish.
Yeah, it's fine to show that he's misunderstood. It's just that when you have something like that, like a quantum teleporter that's teleporting things away and bringing them back, you can't just have everyone else be
That's one of my main problems with this movie. After we had finished watching it, I said to everyone that it felt like this movie could have been cool, but the plot is constantly strung together by all these scenes that are so unbelievable that the whole movie suffers because this whole premise of the movie doesn't make any fucking sense.
This is also extra relevant because this is supposed to be the grim and gritty, dark, realistic reboot of Fantastic Four, which will be relevant. But the fact that these scenes are supposed to be realistic and makes it even more more unacceptable that they're so cartoonishly over the top.
This educational institute talks to Reed about science like most other movies talk about ghosts, where they're like, there's no way that this is real. They don't even look at it. He has full schematics and blueprints, and he's explaining to them how it works.
And they just kick him out. They just disqualify him.
They disqualify him, and it's like he's saying, see, here's footage of the Loch Ness Monster, and they're like, that's bullshit. But he's talking about actual quantifiable science.
Yeah.
But there is a silver lining to all this. And what it is Franklin Storm?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Franklin Storm comes in, who is Sue Storm's father, and he's looking for some reason at a high school science fair.
At elementary school science
fair. How help on interdimensional travel, and he found it in Reed.
They're tricking him. He doesn't actually have a teleporter. They're tricking him to come so they can study his Jack's disease.
But this is another example of an unbelievable scenario to fulfill a trope. Basically, it's the trope of the town scout finding an unlikely rejected actor or something like that. But this is a science fair for children.
That's just weird.
Interdimensional travel. This volcano with baking soda. Could this be the key?
Next to the styrofoam plane kid, it's there he is. There's the person that's going to help us build this machine.
It's so unbelievable. And it's visually unbelievable seeing these high schoolers next to these children and this scientist coming in and being like, we found it. The whole scene is absurd.
And there's such easier ways to do this exact thing. This guy is building this thing that emits these huge levels of radiation and energy. All they have to do is say, we we've been doing the same experiment and saw the same energy signal
Yeah.
coming from 40 minutes away from our lab. That makes so much more sense than we happen to be here. We heard there was a potato clock, but this is way more interesting.
Or like, you want to make it dark and gritty, right? And you want him to be oppressed. Have it so that he made the project. People, when he was younger, saw this is dangerous and stopped him from doing it. Instead of saying, this isn't science.
Maybe his parents got hurt for
Yeah.
his experiment and disowned him or something.
I agree with Phil so much because there's a plot point in this film that Reed is reckless, but his recklessness doesn't come into effect until it's plot relevant. That's
Yeah.
when his recklessness comes into effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, Homer Simpson's gone from the movie. That's his last scene.
Bye.
Yeah.
Hope you find your dad.
Yeah. And then Reed moves...
Also, who else has gone from the movie for a long time too?
Ben.
Yeah. But Ben moves with Reed to the city. And
Well, he
then...
doesn't move. He takes him there. He doesn't move
Yeah.
there with him.
Unfortunately, because they don't make this movie better. If Ben was
Right.
part of the movie.
Oh.
Yeah, he moves him in and he's like, this is where you belong.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
He's
he
like-
drops Reed off like as a like when you're dropping your son off for college as a dad, like saying goodbye to him before because you're not gonna see him for like a long time.
I think that's really sweet that he goes
Yeah.
with him.
But like he should have been. First of all, they don't know that Reed's the genius behind it. So they immediately assume, and then one scene they immediately assume. Obviously, this guy is the genius, and this other guy can't get a scholarship at all. So they immediately assume Ben's a fucking just a extra guy.
And even just being his assistant on it, that's still
Yeah.
pretty impressive. Like,
Yeah.
he should also go.
And this is that scene I said before where they're like, wow, New York City. I can't... Ben's like, you really belong here, Reed. I've never seen a magical place just like this.
Because they're wearing lab coats. That's all he's seen about it. It has a dorm room, and people have lab coats on.
And they see like he sees like the skyscrapers and he's like never seen those before.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess he really just never left Long Island.
But you can see them from Ben's backyard.
So what does Reed do at this place? Like, what's everyone like?
First of all, him and Sue start establishing a connection. They have a scene where Sue's in the library and Reed goes to the library to pick up some books. And this is the first time you get to see some more of their chemistry. You got to see it at the high school science fair. But here's where it's just like the one-on-one and they're telling each other some things. Like
Yeah.
that Sue says that she studies patterns.
It is very clunky in my opinion. Like,
It is.
Like Reed just sits down and he's like, "This is my favorite book." Like just out right away and points up, what was it? Captain Nemo and 100 Miles Under the World. What's
Yeah,
that?
100. God damn it, Sly.
Yeah, that I think that's it.
Yes, it's Captain Nemo's Journey to the Center of the Earth starring Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Finding Captain Nemo.
No, it's what is it, 40,000 Leagues Under the Sea?
Yeah.
40,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Yeah.
Sorry, book aficionados are gonna shit on me now. But no, but
Okay,
like,
actually, no, it's funny that you mentioned that because this is one thing I want to complain about. This is a trope that I see all the time in movies where they have a super genius who was building a teleporter when he was in elementary school, and he's like, "Hey, Sue, have you read this book?" And he picks a pretty mainstream, like super accessible, super popular sci-fi book, and like that's supposed to show how smart he is. And, like, when Sue's like, "I've already read it," he's like, "Wow, you already read this book that so many people have read?" Like, he should be, especially because he's also holding old 1950s physics textbooks. Maybe use one of those. It makes your point a lot better.
yeah.
It does seem really clunky where he's just like, me read. You read?
I think it's fair to try and establish Reed as more of like he's a scientist and an intellectual rather than just a normal conversationalist.
But here's the problem. Like I agree with like the purpose behind the scenes is very valid. Like we said with the science fair, like the purpose showing him in press is a very valid idea. But the scenes don't execute the idea without feeling awkward.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
the way I would describe Sue and Reed's chemistry is two sheets of metal clanging together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like you're...
They're trying to make them seem like, oh, like maybe we're into each other. He's just like, do you like music? She's like, I like patterns.
They're not. He makes jokes and she does deadpan deliveries the whole time of like
Yeah.
all of her dialogue, and it's not endearing.
The thing that's weird about it is that's actually the total opposite of the usual dynamic, where, like, usually Reed is the cold, sciencey one, and Sue is like, "Come on, let me humanize you a little bit."
Yeah, yeah.
And, like, it could be interesting having them switch, but I actually think the actors are pretty great in this movie, but
I actually think Kamara, like not to blame her, but I think Sue. There is like no chemistry between Sue and Reed. Like it just seems like she's like a cold.
The thing is,
lady.
I kind of blame that more on like the jumpy editing and the like
Dialogue.
really awkward dialogue. I don't really blame the cast. I think they do a pretty good job.
Like I said, I'm not blaming Kamara. I'm just saying because I haven't seen anything, but she seems like she could be a solid actress. But I do feel like she had like none of the characters have any of the chemistry they should have in this film.
Yeah, I'll give you that for sure.
So they establish a rapport like outside of the lab, and then most of Reed's time is spent inside the lab working.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people hassle him. They're all making fun of him for building like a not great quantum teleporter.
You fucking ass, you made a fucking amateur quantum teleport, fucking dick here.
I think it's great because Reed's constantly seen as an underdog, where it's like his science is underappreciated.
But he's the only one that has figured a solution. Nobody else there could bring stuff back.
Yeah, later on, Reed's the only one that can fix the machine when it breaks. So like,
yeah. But this is when we're also introduced to another member of the team.
Oh, first, it's Franklin Storm is he's meeting with these board members. They're like a government agency that are funding his group. And he's asking them to get someone back onto his team who is named what, Ryan?
Victor Von Doom.
Yep, just putting it out there. That's just his name, Mr.
Like,
Doom.
when they relaunched the Fantastic Four in the Ultimate Universe, they called him Victor Van Dam. I feel like that's a really easy way to just tweak it just a little bit, so it's not so like, hey, it's a comic book villain from 1961.
Yeah, I'm not against like name changes like that, where it's like this is their human name before they take up the mantle of their supervillain persona.
But here's the thing, though. When they were re-editing this movie, they tried to make it closer to comic. What could you edit into the plot that will make him closer to comic at all besides his name? Like, there's nothing else he can change.
He's
not Dr. Doom at all.
Yeah.
I don't even think he's a doctor.
Yeah, that's a good point. Where's the fucking medical license?
He's not a doctor.
It's Sue that makes the sarcastic comment.
It's like,
it's
what are you...
Dr. Doom over here.
Yeah.
Sue says it because he says something about like he's like, oh, when they're saying like Victor meet Reed. And he's looking through Reed's notes.
Victor, meet Reed. Meet Reed. You Reed.
Reed makes stick water.
And Victor's like, this is just garbage. This is a child's drawing. And then they're saying, well...
Oh, you ruined my favorite line I wanted to deliver.
Oh, okay, you do it.
Oh, no, we gotta get to that scene.
Okay.
Right, so get to that scene, Darryl.
Okay, yeah, I'm trying. So, Franklin goes to meet Doom, who is sitting in, like... this shades down, like dank, dark apartment, and he has like this eyepiece on, like this fake Google eye.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
He's supposed to look like, I guess, like what Sly said, that whole like hacker type where he's just like, I live.
Yeah, he's got like multiple monitors.
Yeah. That makes you a hacker.
Yeah, and so Franklin is trying to convince him to come back to work because he started the project, and that's basically all Doom has connected to the project. Is that this was just what he started, and he left angrily.
And he set all the servers on fire on his way out.
Yeah.
I guess he's a big hacker, but he doesn't understand how the cloud works.
Hey, this was 2008. This is before the internet, okay?
No, but now it's 8 years after that, isn't it? Isn't it modern time?
No, but I meant like he didn't leave right away. Like,
yeah, he probably left back when Reed was playing his N64.
Also, setting fire is just a lot cooler.
And it is more permanent because you can erase it on the drive and it not get destroyed.
So,
I guess,
as we know from Hillary Clinton,
in this scene, and when Franklin gets Doom and brings him back and introduces them to the rest of the group, it establishes Doom as what I would call a sarcastic, anti-government, misanthropic loser.
Yep.
Yeah, basically.
That pretty much sums it all up.
Yeah, and in the scene, he looks at Reed's drawings and diagrams for his quantum teleporter, and he masterfully delivers this line where he says, rudimentary, elementary, basically a child's drawing.
And then this is when they're saying, like, Victor doesn't want anything to do with the project, and Franklin's like, please, we now have footage. Oh yeah, they sent a drone over to this other dimension that the teleporter sends to.
We should also mention, Phil was playing Doom recently, so...
it looks so much like they're in hell.
Yeah. It's like, and the plot is they want to go mine this place, so Phil was just making Doom references, like, they're going to go mine hell.
Yeah. In the new Doom, that's what you do. The company's mining hell for energy.
Yeah.
And it's like this dark red skies, and that's basically what this group is trying to do. They're like, we can get energy from this maybe other dimension.
Yep.
And this is when Franklin's like, even though we can't get the drone back, we somehow got pictures back, because I guess they have Wi-Fi in hell. Yeah. But they he's like, we can use this to save our world because there could be new energy sources and all that stuff. And Victor says, what does Victor say? He's like, not like they even deserve it. And that's when Sue looks basically at the camera and go, yeah, Dr. Doom over here. Am I right, guys?
Yeah. The dialogue in this movie, like, it has some charming moments, but in general, it's kind of terrible.
Yeah. And so basically they tell them, or Franklin tells them, that they're going to build this quantum teleporter, and the first people that are going to be over are the scientists that made the teleporter. So it's going to be Doom, it's going to be Sue, it's going to be Reed. And then...
And it's going to be a fourth character who we're about to meet.
Yeah. And so we jump over to this fourth character, who is Johnny Storm. And he is drag racing, I guess?
Yeah,
against
drag racing.
Just other...
Drag racers.
These people.
Not just drag racing in, like, an abandoned warehouse area, like, on the highway, going, like, cutting into oncoming lanes.
It's at night.
Yeah,
People do
but,
that.
like...
Yeah.
But those people are assholes.
I know, but...
And Ryan mentioned this to me while we were watching. He showed me, he said, this is fucking Wally West from The Flash. And there seems to be a trend going on where if you make a white character black in a film or TV show, you have to make him a drag racer. Is that like a stereotype or something?
I don't know.
It's because, I don't know, they think that's how to establish them being really cool.
Yeah, I guess
Look how
so.
fast I go, I like speed.
It's one thing to have, like, a drag race at, like, if you want to establish, like, he lives for the thrills and stuff, have it, like, be in abandoned areas. Having him do it on the highway makes me feel like, how am I supposed to relate to this guy? He's putting so many people's lives at risk for no reason.
Well, it can establish him as reckless.
Yeah.
But, like, there's a difference between reckless to get a thrill and reckless, like, at a level that's really, really selfish.
Yeah.
But I also hate Johnny Storm, so I could give
This
a
is
fuck.
very accurate, Johnny Storm. Johnny Storm's a fucking cock. So. That's a problem with, like, the 2004 movie, because I hate Johnny Storm in the movie, but I'm like, I hate you, but you're doing your job, so I guess good job.
Yeah.
And so he gets in a crash, and then Franklin Storm picks him up from the hospital. And,
Spoilers, it's his dad.
Yeah. And so they're getting in a little bit of a scuffle because Johnny is basically the child, like, Sue's the favorite child of the family, and Johnny has, like, no direction, no point, so he kind of just lashes out against his parent, and his dad treats him more like a student than he does a son.
Yeah.
I think that, like, that's good character building for this movie, and that's about, like, kind of as far as it goes with that. Because now Johnny comes onto the team.
That's his punishment. He's like, you've been drag racing? Well, now you're going to help me build a quantum teleporter.
Yeah.
And as usual, the voice of reason, Dr. Doom over here, says, what the fuck can this guy do? We are all, like, super scientists. He's just, like, some asshole. And Franklin just goes, this kid can build anything.
They do suggest that, to be fair, they do suggest that Johnny Storm is smarter than he seems, but as Phil pointing out, building cars doesn't let you build fucking...
The most experience he seems to have that we know of is that he built his car from scratch.
Yeah.
But at the same time, these scientists don't know how to use a screwdriver, so I guess being able to build a car is probably really valuable handson tech.
Yeah, because Johnny is seen in a montage doing a lot of work and helping them a lot.
And building a car from scratch actually is pretty hard work.
So anyway, we get this really, like, fun, light montage of everyone building the quantum teleporter, working together, and suspiciously missing is Ben Grimm, who, again, has not been seen for about, like, 10, 15 minutes.
And there is a part where, like, when you're watching it, and I know I don't want to harp on comparing it to the original source too much because it's supposed to be a brand new reimagining, but there's parts where the audience goes, when is Ben how are they going to get Ben here? Because he has to be here.
Yeah. So, what happens is they finish the teleporter at one point, and
They show it off.
Yeah, it's a great event, and this one government agent who's the mole man.
Yeah, he has the same, in the original script, he has the same real name as the Mole Man, but for some reason, he's not the Mole Man. He just has the same name.
Oh, he has a great line at one point where he's like, before they're finishing and they're still building it, he's trying to cut funding to Franklin, and Franklin's like, no, we can do it. And the government says to him, you put too much faith in these kids. You're, like, not objective about this. And he says, I put all my faith in these kids, which is such a great way to be like, no, you guys are totally right. I'm an insane person. Take away my money.
But the movie is just like, oh, damn, he sure showed them.
It's such a weird concept that, like, they get a bunch of teenagers, like, just fresh out of high school to build a quantum teleporter that apparently, according to Sue Storm, could create a black hole if you fuck it up.
Yeah.
And destroy Earth. And then their plan is also, when it's done, like, you guys will just go to the other dimension. Like, we'll just send these teenager scientists, to go explore.
Yeah, and the mole man, the government agent, he says, like, once he sees it complete, he's like, all right, now we'll contact NASA and we'll get some astronauts to go there. And all the people that work on it are astonished that this is happening. Like, they had no idea. This is part of the contract. So then, the same day they complete it, Dr. Doom is, like, not Dr. Doom, Mr. Doom. He doesn't become a doctor at all.
He never gets his PhD.
Yeah, at this point, there's all these deleted scenes of him taking night classes, trying to get an honorary PhD.
Yeah. And so Mr. Doom pulls out a flask of whiskey.
A tiny flask.
Yeah, and he's like, guys, let's get drunk. And Reed's like, I don't know, ethanol kills brain cells. And Johnny smiles.
Yeah. Johnny's like, I've been drunk for 2 weeks.
That's why I got into that accident.
And this tiny flask gets them all, like, super hyper drunk.
Yeah.
Just the three of them. Sue is not there.
Right.
Yeah, because Sue would be a buzzkill. You can't leave Sue alone.
It's boys' night.
Yeah.
And so the boys' night concludes with Doom saying, yo, guys, let's just hop in this quantum teleporter, plant down an American flag, and show them it's like, we got there first.
Even though he's anti-government.
Because his argument is that no one remembers the scientists that got space shuttles to the moon, but they remember people like Neil Armstrong.
I actually like this scene quite a lot. Because
that's a fair point.
I love the idea of them saying, like, who are the guys that built the Apollo space station, or the Apollo's spaceships? Rocket
Space
ships.
Station.
Space shuttle. Ships.
How about the Star Trek Enterprise?
Yeah. And they're like, I don't know, but I only know Neil Armstrong, and I really...
Yeah, I don't know the fucking guys who invented Enterprise. I know Captain Kirk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really like the idea of, when you give this much power to, like, 16, 17, 18-year-olds, and then strip them of the glory, I feel like a very teen reaction, especially when they're getting drunk, is like, let's just fucking take it. What are they going to do?
Anyway, so they're gonna go there, and there's the quantum teleporter conveniently has 4 different pods you can go into when you teleport away. So Reed thinks to himself, hey, I need a 4th man. Why not the man that was there in the very beginning when I first ran the quantum teleporter? So he calls up Ben.
Hey, come back into this movie. We forgot about you.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
You want to meet my new friends?
Yeah. And Ben's, like, asleep, and Reed's like, you gotta come here. And he's like, are you drunk? And he's like, yeah, whatever.
What'd you say about my mom?
It's actually, I think, a very fun, like, I can't forget about my bros kind of moment. And, like, I actually...
Like my bros, like my best friend from when I was a kid. My only friend when I was growing up.
Yeah, and I really like that he calls him. It's probably my high point of the whole movie. That, like, even though it's very circumstantial and, like, of course Ben has to come back.
Yeah.
It's to me the most human, endearing moment of probably the entire film.
Probably. So, what happens when Ben gets there?
Ben gets there. They all suit up. And they're all ready. So they all each go into their own different pod. And they activate it. And so they essentially go to hell. Or it's referred to as Planet Zero later in the movie. But again, like, this is like a nightmarish, just like rock landscape,
it is a hellscape.
storms.
Like, there's just like this pure energy
Green
radiating from
pools
the
of
ground.
energy like bursting from the ground.
Yeah, if you're familiar with comics, it's the negative zone.
Yeah.
I will also say, because this movie does get sci-fi-y at some points, like, I think it's ridiculous that they go to another dimension planet place where...
They go to hell.
They go to hell, gravity's the same as Earth, you can breathe there. It's like...
They're in containment suits the first time they go there. When they go there at the end of the movie, they can just breathe no problem.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's apparently just basically Earth, but like a hellscape.
Yeah, Earth with no vegetation.
Yeah.
They do say, like, it's supposed to be Earth in the early years of our creation. Like, it's Earth untouched by man. But I don't think Earth touched by man will have green slime flowing everywhere. This is not Ghostbusters, guys.
So they go there, they plant the flag, and then they're like, hey, Johnny, you need to stay behind and look after our quantum...
No, Johnny doesn't want to go.
Yeah, Johnny's the responsible, clear-headed guy in this scenario.
No, he's afraid of heights because they're like, you want to climb down this cliff?
Why is the reckless one the one that's like, I don't want to climb
He
down
might like
cliff?
to drive fast. It doesn't mean you're... Like, you can still have a fear of heights.
No, but if you establish him as the reckless one and everyone else is like the cautious scientists, why do a total role reversal here?
I don't know.
Anyway, they go down this cliff and they go check out this glowing green goo.
And the first thing you do when you're in an alien dimension and you see glowing green goo, you put your hands in it. So
Yeah, because Doom was like, he's taken by because he says it's alive. It's not just energy, like it's a living
It's
force.
responding to stimulus.
Yeah, it's like a nervous system in the glue, and whenever you touch it, you stimulate the nerves.
Yeah, and it responds so much, it says, hey, I really want Doom. So it takes him. It doesn't...
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't take them yet. They all try and run back, and then
because it's like everything's exploding now.
Yeah,
when they touch the pool, the ground just erupts with green energy, and everything just starts exploding. It's like one of those chase scenes where you have to run away.
Yeah.
Yep. So then they're climbing up the cliff, and it's exploding on Doom, and it's basically it's kind of like melting and crumpling his spacesuit, and he's like, "Reed, don't let go. Hold on to me." And then Reed,
and he tries.
He does try.
Yeah, he tries.
And after he falls off the cliff, Ben and Johnny are like Reed's like, we can't leave him, and Ben and Johnny force him to leave.
Yeah. He falls off the cliff into the green goo and just disappears, and that's it for Doom.
I bet he's dead.
Yeah, me too. So then they run back to the quantum teleporter chairs, and they're trying to get in because they need to get off this planet. And back on Earth, Sue finds out that they took the teleporter, and she's trying to get them back. And it's like no signal, like she can't get any footage from them until she does. And she sees like there's
the Wi-Fi went out for a little bit.
Yeah,
on Planet X.
She sees like each of the 4 chambers, and something different is happening in each of the 4 chambers.
Yeah, I do want to point out, not only was Ben not part of the team building, we also had Sue be not part of the actual adventure.
Yeah, I was real surprised the first time I watched the movie where it's like Sue wasn't even on the planet, so I'm like, how is she gonna even get her powers?
Yeah, and don't worry, it makes total sense and isn't really dumb when that happens.
So each of the 4 chambers, something different is happening, and
Fire breaks into Johnny Storm.
Yeah, and lights him on fire.
Where'd that fire come from,
Who
guys?
knows? Who knows?
The
goo.
the chair, maybe some stuff on the
Oxygen
quantum chairs.
in there.
Oh yeah, they brought it. Maybe it was the flag that got set on fire. They brought the American
Yeah.
flag. They hate America, but they brought the American flag to Planet Earth.
Well, that was Doom's plan all
Death
along.
to
was-
America.
Was to burn the American flag.
By the way, rocks go into Ben.
Ben is getting rocks shoveled at him
It
by
is
some unknown
It is
force.
the worst special effect in the movie. This looks like there's a rock thrower pelting him in the face.
Yeah, it's like someone with buckets of rocks just like chucking at him. But,
That's
like,
probably how they filmed it.
It looks like a wood chipper machine is shooting out at him.
And my favorite part is he can't even get like his door closed. It keeps like flapping open because of all the rocks.
It was like a comedic bit, like when somebody opens like a cabinet full of cups and starts pouring on him. He's trying to close it, like help.
And so it's like you're starting to understand, okay, these are all their special elemental powers. And Reed is reaching?
Yeah.
That is really the stupidest explanation of them all.
Oh no, he gets stretchy powers because the plot is reaching so far.
Yeah.
I do like this idea of each, because like this is an idea brought up in like Ultimate Fantasy 4 that Fantastic 4 each represent a specific element, which I think makes their powers feel more like it has to be those powers rather than 4 arbitrary powers, which is what kind of
Yeah, so
just like
Earth
mutant
Fire,
powers.
Reed is like fluid, water.
water.
And Sue turns invisible, so she's like air.
So they end up teleporting back, and when they teleport back, there's a big explosion, and it blows up some glass.
And then the movie turns into a horror movie.
It blows up some glass that Sue was behind.
Yeah.
And that's how she gets hurt. She starts like phasing in and
Well,
out.
Sue gets hit with like an energy wave, but the energy wave also hits all of Manhattan.
We should have also pointed out that they had this quantum teleporter. Like all the scientists sit next to it as it operates. There's no safety equipment.
That was a weird thing. How do you operate the quantum teleporter from the inside? Like it's
It's a bizarre thing. And how do you get fucking footage from the other dimension? Why would sunglasses be the only thing you need when this thing's operating?
Oh yeah, there's no like safety shield or anything blocking the quantum teleporter. It's just up on a platform.
And I mean, if you look at any like experiment station, if you look at the Large Hadron Collider or any kind of tessellator, they're shielded so much to protect. Like they're just common sense. You have to protect the people operating it. They just sit next to it, like eat sandwiches, and they're like, oh, I hope this is
Yeah, it's like this thing that can create black holes and has just all this free energy moving around.
Make sure you put your sunglasses on.
So Phil mentioned that this movie becomes a horror movie. I just want to give some backstory on what this movie was hyped as, what it was going to be. So Josh Trank says he wants to make a David Cronenberg-esque movie. And for those who don't know, David Cronenberg made movies like Scanners, The Fly, very body horror movies.
Yeah.
So, if this movie was allowed to fulfill the original vision, I don't know if it would have been good, but I think it would have been better and more interesting as a final product than what it became. And this is one of the few examples of what it could have potentially been, because we get to see them display their powers, and it is horrifying.
And just to be clear, we're already 45 minutes to an hour into the movie, and it's not been horror at all. And this is a very stark like tone shift.
Yep, it's a lot darker. The scene opens with like the facility is destroyed. There's fire everywhere. You hear like Ben
screaming in the background.
Yeah,
Reed is covered in blood. Johnny's on fire, burning to death.
We just see Johnny's flaming corpse.
Yeah.
We see Reed dragging his bloody body around while his leg is pinned under rocks.
Yeah, you have like strings, the classic horror strings that are trilling. And then
he hears Ben in the distance moaning and saying, "Oh!"
Under a big pile of rocks.
Yeah, he thinks it's a big pile of rocks, and you realize, oh my god, Ben is rock.
No, he doesn't realize this now. He realizes it way later.
But like that is like the twist the audience realizes.
Yeah.
the scene ends with him turning around and he sees that all this distance he crawled, his legs were trapped under something, so he was just stretching out his legs. Which is actually
really cool. Because like the whole scene, you don't see his legs. He just sees that he's pinned and he's trying to drag himself. So then when he turns around and he's pulled himself across the room with his leg stretched, I think it's actually a cool effect.
Yeah, it freaks him out, and then he passes out.
Yeah.
And then we cut to Area 57, location unknown, and some like military base in the north that the government keeps, and it's Reed strapped to a table, all like his limbs stretched out, and he's just asking, Ben, where's Ben? Where are my friends?
And they're totally ignoring his cries to find out if his friends
and he's
are
like
okay.
he's screaming and yelling.
It was hard.
And crying. Like, he's like, where are my friends? Help me!
Yeah.
And so while Red is stretched out on this gurney...
Did you say while Red?
while Reed is stretched out on this gurney, everyone is stretched out on gurneys, even Johnny Storm, who's on fire.
Yeah, they put some of them make sense. They put Sue on the bed. She's fading in and out of existence, or it looks, well, I don't know. It looks like she's becoming invisible and not invisible.
They say she's shifting in and out of the visible light spectrum.
Right.
Yep.
But they still have her vitals on to like, so they're like, she's fine, but like, we just can't see her sometimes.
And another horror aspect is that they're showing, because Franklin's here at this base, because they need to ask him what went wrong, and he sees his own children like this, and he's basically like mortified.
Yeah.
That this is going on, especially when he sees like his own son on fire and just burning.
They just put Johnny Storm on the bed. They're like, it's Flaming Man. I don't know how they carried him there. They just put him on the bed and they're like, okay, go to sleep.
Yeah, how did they get him there?
And also, there's like no protective anything on the walls or anything, because he flares up a bit and shatters all the glass around him, almost killing everyone.
He would have. Not to get too nitpicky, he would have melted through that bed and his straps and everything, unless he was covered in asbestos or something.
If they had the technology to keep this bed and room from melting, you'd think they would have something better than a thin sheet of glass that, like, he shatters the glass and all the shards of burning glass fall on all the people looking at it.
Yeah.
Like, they do not plan this well at all.
Well, it's just like the quantum teleporter. This is this is a deregulated society. They do not need to have safety regulations.
Yeah.
So they're cutting costs here. They're just true capitalists.
This is a true horror universe. There's no safety.
I never realized how many shitty comic books and comic book movies are actually just Randian explorations.
Yeah. So what happens to Reed? What does he do?
Reed, when he's conscious, starts stretching his body to get out of the
his bindings.
Yeah, like the straps. And so he's slowly learning how to use like his stretchiness and get his body out from there. He's Houdiniing himself.
Yeah, and this is where he
stretcher.
calls himself Stretch Armstrong and
Yeah.
One thing I want to say, I think most of the effects in this movie look pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, I think his stretching actually looks pretty good.
And that's impressive because the worst effect in the old movies, 2004 ones, was the stretching. It looked like CGI garbage.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that's a
so
hard
funny.
thing to do, and they do it well.
Yeah, it's pretty well done actually.
So he stretches himself out, and then he goes into a vent, and he starts crawling through because he's looking for where his friends are.
Yeah.
And the Mission Impossible theme plays in the background.
Yeah.
But he hears Ben crying out for help. Reed, help me.
Yeah, and so he sees him, and he's like, it's shot at like this really weird angle where you see Ben kind of looks like this weird mountainous thing, and then he starts to like shift his whole body around.
Yeah,
and
his body's like forming from the rock.
Reed's horrified at this, and he knows that like he can't get him out of here now. So he's like, I need to leave. I'll come back for you. And and Ben's reaching out. He's begging him to stay. And Reed just books it. He is out of there. He finds a way out and he just runs away. Anyway, Reed's out. And so Mole Man comes in and he sees Ben Grimm. And he's unprotected. Like, he just walks into the room with him. With no other guards around or, like, any kind of suit
Also,
on.
this guy's always chewing gum in every single shot.
I think just to make you feel like, fuck this guy. Because every time you see him chewing gum, like, with his mouth wide open, you just think, like, this guy's a fucking dick.
Yeah, everyone hates people that chew gum.
Yeah.
But, like, who chews gum like that? Like, with the mouth just
And
wide
he's like,
open.
hey, what up, rock monster?
Yeah.
Fuck ass.
So he tells him he can reverse this if he helps out the government. And so Ben's like, what do you want me to do?
Cut 1 year later.
Yep.
Natural transition.
If the whole movie was this tone of the last, 8 minutes, I think I would probably like it a lot.
See, I think it's actually a pretty interesting spin on the Fantastic Four because you don't get a lot of movies that deal with superhero transformations that look at it from a horrific standpoint. Like, you see that kind of stuff, like, you can see it in Ruins. But there's not a lot of movies where it's like, this is, awful what happens to you.
Yeah.
Like, you are irrecoverably in this transformed state. That's,
And I feel like that
monstrous.
could be really, really inspiring if you have a first movie that's set up, horrific, and then, they overcome it and come together as a family together and, become, a real, positive fuck yeah superhero team. That could be a really cool grounding for a franchise.
Especially since Fox has the rights and this isn't like a loyal Marvel Studios make of the movie, you can kind of do with it whatever you want.
Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna stray from the core of the franchise, you might as well, at least try and make it interesting.
Yeah. I also think the humanity of everyone shows through a lot. Like, the scene between Reed and Ben.
Who could fly the asshole calling him Red?
Shit.
Here we go.
Fuck you.
Yeah, Reed and Ben here, I feel the pain for both of them here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the reaching and crying they did,
Yeah.
it really made you feel kind of sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happens after they cut 1 year later?
Time to accelerate the plot.
Yeah, so now the plot starts speeding up.
And then it flies through the rest of this movie.
Yeah, so you get to see all these government people watching footage of the Thing in action, which is basically, they have, a footage of him destroying tanks.
They say it's covert missions, but he's just in the middle of a field killing people.
Yeah.
And just to clarify, it's the Thing from the Fantastic Four, not the Thing from Another World or the Thing from the Addams Family.
Yeah, and
Or the Thing from The Thing.
to clarify, the Thing is completely naked.
Yes, and he super doesn't have a dick.
So you get to see his rocks.
Yeah, confirm, no dick.
Anyway, all the government guys are impressed by this, and so what they want to do is they want to build Quantum Teleporter 2, which is a really great name.
Yeah.
And they want to send more people over and study how this transformation worked. Because ideally they want to make their own soldiers.
What I don't get is, that's my main question is, what military application does turning your men into rock monsters really accomplish in today's world?
They're vulnerable.
Hey, you know what else is invulnerable? You know what else doesn't have loss of life? A drone.
Yeah, or for example, we see him use against tanks, right? The U.S. doesn't lose tanks in combat, hasn't since.
But an army of things would be like shock and awe.
That's
You'd be
true.
like, what is this? Big rock men?
That's true.
Speaking of drones, though, I have to mention this cut because editing this movie really sucks, and it's the biggest highlight of how much it sucks.
Oh, this is great.
Oh yeah.
All right, so they're in the airplane saying, "Oh, let's showcase what the Human Torch can do," and then it cuts to
Wait. It's the Mole Man specifically pointing out to these other guys. It's like, look what,
And the other guy squints out the window and goes, "What is that?"
They're on an airplane.
he says, what is that? Yeah.
yeah, and then they see the Human Torch flying, and he explodes in the airplane and sets it burning to the ground.
Yeah, he shoots down an airplane.
And you think he just killed everyone on that plane, but it was a drone flying next to the plane, and the editing makes it so unclear.
And I've seen this movie 3 times now, and every time I, for a second, go, "Did he just kill all those guys?"
Yeah.
Because it doesn't even establish that the Human Torch is on a run where he's training to shoot down drones. You just see him shoot down an airplane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, this is the first time we're seeing him after a year gap.
Yeah.
He could be a villain now. We don't know.
Yeah. Especially since they show the Thing is a murderer now, too.
Yeah.
47 confirmed kills.
And to be fair to that, he enjoys this. He wants this lifestyle. He wants to be like Ben Grimm. He wants to be out there using his powers for what he says is good.
Yeah, lighting people on fire.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
I also want to bring up that it's weird that Doom is like, he's anti-government. He thinks that humans like abuse their power and abuse the land. And this movie kind of supports his view with all these government agents being like, yeah, we just want to...
Yeah.
Which is always a strange thing when you're sympathizing with the villain. Or, we don't know he's the villain.
I think he's supposed to be a sympathetic villain, if not the guy we are supposed to morally think is right.
Well, maybe at the beginning, when spoilers, shows up again, he's not a character. He's just, I'm evil.
yeah.
And he looks like he's made out of garbage, as Darryl said when we were watching.
Yeah,
He's
we'll
garbage
fix
man.
that.
So okay, that happens
Yeah,
pretty quickly. So
Let's just cut through the
move
stuff.
along.
The Thing is in combat. Johnny Storm's like, I want to go to combat. Sue's like, we have to get our lives back. Our lives are ruined.
Sue wants their lives back. They talk to Franklin like at times because he's trying to get them out of there, even though they've been there for like a whole year. And he says, in order to reverse it, they're going to have to go over to the to hell again. And for some reason, they just can't build it. They need Reed's help. They need to find Reed.
They didn't write down what to do last time.
Also, the lab did explode, so that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we found out that once you set fire to a server, all data's lost forever.
Yeah, Doom did it again. So, Sue agrees to help find Reed even though she feels betrayed by him. And this is where her pattern analysis comes into play, because she's looking through all the evidence they have of where he's been.
10 monitors at once. She's like, I see the patterns.
Yeah.
And she puts on headphones, listens to music, and they have this dramatic theme song playing as she's trying to write all these powders.
While she wears this this wig that is an abomination. It's
This creature, this thing, if you will, on top of her head.
It's like this straw hair.
So if you could if you could hear what she was listening to instead of the dramatic theme, what would you want?
She already said she was listening to Portishead.
No, that was earlier. She doesn't say what
She's still listening to
now.
that. It's just like how Reed his username his handle is Captain Nemo. She's also listening to Portishead again.
No,
Yeah.
she's definitely looking at all these pictures of Reed listening to Photograph by Nickelback, and I will fight anyone who disagrees.
Oh, Ryan. No, that's what you're listening to right now instead of...
You're actually just talking without hearing what we're saying.
Yeah. He always does that.
He's just like, look at this.
Did you forget the next word, Darryl, in the song Photograph?
It's on the tip of my tongue.
So Sue complains that their lives are ruined, even though she can do everything she always could have, except she can become invisible and fly now.
Yeah.
To be fair, they explained that the powers are still out of whack. They need these suits to
Right.
function that normally.
Also, they are trapped in a facility. I forgot.
Yeah. But so they have to go now. They know where Reed is, and they go to find him.
Yeah, and so Reed is in Portugal?
Yeah.
And so he does this thing where, like, he's been having to keep his identity secret, so he transforms his own face with stretchy powers.
Yeah. It's really weird CGI.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. And so he gets back to his own house where he has this picture of him and Ben as little kids, because it's showing you he didn't forget.
Yeah.
And then they find him, and all these government, like, soldiers drop in with these guns, and Reed has to fight them, and he's using his stretchy powers, and it's like... It is the quickest CGI I've seen. It's like 1 second at most of like him stretching, and then the scene's done.
But we should mention because like the scene ends, Ben drops to the ground and just headbutts Reed, and that's it.
Well, after Reed ducks and he punches a tree with enough force that definitely would have instantly killed Reed if it connected.
Yeah.
They start off
stretched.
arguing, and it's interesting because this is the first time Ben's seen Reed, so it's like, all right, we'll get some good like conflict between them. And Ben just like headbutts him, and he's done, and that's it. And
That's
like
the
the
fight.
scene ends.
And we have it's important to point out because it's supposed to be a summer blockbuster. Like there's only
Oh, there's like no action in this movie.
there is no more action until we point out the chase scene. Until that point, I was like kind of dozing off because like there's no even period of excitement.
That's true.
It could have a cool scene where you have a superhero fighting a superhero,
Yeah.
and it just doesn't last.
Yeah.
So then you get Reed, he's captured, and Ben's in the plane with him, and it's just like Ben tearing into Reed and telling him what a terrible person he is. And
You
Reed,
left me.
Yeah, Reed's like,
I mean,
agreeing
he's
with
right.
him. Yeah.
He's right. Like, his life is ruined.
But the weird thing is, you're waiting for the superhero team up to eventually happen, and all you feel from Ben to Reed is contempt.
The movie's almost over, and everyone hates each other.
Yeah.
And they don't have a moment of catharsis where they make up. They're just friends later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of them are just super friendly and playful out of nowhere. There is no, like, redemption. They're just great now.
Yeah, so they come back, and then they tell... The government basically tells Reed, you need to finish this project. And Reed's like, okay.
Yeah,
And he does it in 10 minutes.
Yep, they make another teleporter. They're like, we're gonna go again.
It's like instant. It's just the teleporter's built, and so then they teleport some guys over.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do they find over there?
They get a life sign, and it's this.
I would describe it as a great crash test dummy.
It's like a crash test dummy
with a ripped green garbage bag.
Yeah, garbage bag's like melted onto him.
Yeah.
He looks really bad.
I mean, if they're going for this horror thing again, when they
you could have done so much better.
Yeah.
Than just like a man that, like, his face really does look like a crash test dummy face.
Also, if you're going for a horror element, don't have him immediately be in full light, laying stationary, like you see everything about him. Have it be more mysterious.
They bring him back. They bring back Crash Test Doomy, and they lay him down on the table. And then the mole man comes in, and he comes in finally in a radiation suit to see one of these monstrosities
for the first time.
Yeah, and he's basically asking, it's like, "Wow, Victor, how did you survive? That's crazy." And he says that the green matter on the planet kept him alive.
He says, "Hell saved me," basically.
Yeah,
and gave me power.
Yeah, and he says that that's his planet now, and he tells Mole Man that, like, his people don't deserve it.
His people?
Yeah, the humans. The humans.
The Mole Man. He's talking about the Mole Man. He's like, I know your secret. The Mole Man will never have my planet die.
I actually like this line a lot when he says, like, it imbued me with power, and the Mole Man's like, what kind of power? And Victor says, the kind of power men like you should never possess.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, that's a pretty cool line.
So then, Doom goes full evil.
Yeah, this whole next scene is like the opening of the anime Elfen Lied, where he stands up and just explodes people's heads.
Or also Akira.
Or Akira, yep.
Where Tetsuo's going through the hallway and just blowing people up.
Actually, this is my favorite scene in the whole film, because it's, for most parts, one long shot of Doom running through corridors, and you can see like people in the back, people in the distance, and he's getting towards them, and the guard's trying to stop him, and he's just getting more and more ground into this hallway and killing more and more people.
And basically, his power is, this is what he uses on Mole Man, he blows people up.
Yeah, he just explodes
Or he just like explodes a part of their body, so they're dead. So you just see a giant like blood splat on the wall.
And since it's based on supposed to be going for a scanner's effect, I do think he's trying to be a mix of telepathy and telekinesis, because he moves shit of his mind, and he also explodes people's heads.
Yeah,
but he immediately has god level powers.
Yeah, but it's really cool to watch, because you're just seeing this man walk through these halls and people screaming until they explode and just are
and
silent.
It's always their heads splat against the wall above them in that like kind of cool effect that we've seen before.
Yeah, and it's really neat.
The thing is, the only reason why I don't love this scene is because at the time when I first saw it, I was like, oh, there's so much tension here, because how are they going to beat this guy? And I feel like that's super not earned, because it's so not real.
I agree, but that's more fault of that scene. But
yeah, that's the fault of later on. This is a good establishing.
But I think this scene has to take some of the blame, because they immediately give him such strong powers that he could never be beaten.
Yeah.
Like, if your power is pop people, how do people beat him?
But one other thing I might mention, in Fantastic Four, the Ultimate Fantastic Four, when they transform, like Reed, he stops having organs. Like, he has, like his insides are, like, no longer organs. The thing is a rock. Like, they change completely.
Doom explodes rocks and moves them, too, with his mind.
I know, but I mean, like, you could, even if they just moved it to brain exploding, you could explain that the brain exploding is ineffective because their organs have changed so much, they're not real people anymore.
Yeah, but on the rewatch, this scene had, like, no power for me, because I knew that, like, they're just building him up as such a god for no reason. There's no plot reason why he's this powerful.
I still think it's a really well directed.
Unlike Ryan, you don't hate Josh Trank's directing, so fuck you, Ryan.
I didn't. Jesus.
I mean, now it seems like I hate actors, but Ryan hates directors. So.
Yeah.
That might be it. I might hate directors.
Why do you hate all directors? Because you hate him.
Anyway, okay, so everyone's trying to escape from this, and Reed runs into Ben, and Ben asks him, "Are you running away again?" And Reed's like, "No."
He was running away, but he's like, he's like, "No."
Yeah, so now they're all going to work together to stop him. So Doom makes his way back to the Quam teleporter, and he wants to use it to return home and destroy this planet.
Because we figured out from the beginning of the movie, if you fuck it up, you can make a black hole on Earth. And he's like, I could fuck it up.
And he says, what was it?
If I have to shit.
If I have to shit!
For my planet, if saving my planet means that this planet has to die, so be it.
Yeah.
It's something like that.
Yeah.
And he says that to Franklin, because Franklin's trying to stop him. He's like, whoa, hey now, Doom. Let's be civilized here.
R.I.P. Franklin, because he doesn't explode him.
Yeah,
He
you
just,
can't you can't explode Franklin.
Yeah,
That's disrespectful.
No, he has to kill him in a way that he still gets a dramatic final couple lines
Yeah.
while he's dying.
So he just sears him.
Does
or
he
something.
get some final
He
lines?
doesn't. When he gets seared, he's
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah, he just gets.
No, he definitely says something to Sue and Johnny. He's like, take care of each other.
Does he?
Oh my
Yeah.
god, if he does. That's how throwaway that line was. We're just like, he's dead.
It's like the most generic, like, dying dad.
That's why he didn't explode, because he can't talk with his head's exploded.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, how does that work with telekinesis? Searing a man's body.
I don't know.
The thing is, this is one of the problems I had actually with when we watched X-Men Apocalypse. It's like my powers are just plot, so it's like the plot demands that I do this, and they do that. Like that is such a boring power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Doom loses all of his abilities to pop people from now on, and basically now he just throws things around and gets the Fantastic Four out of his way and teleports back. And it, like, rips a hole in the sky.
Yeah. It makes a giant crater.
Yeah, and so they look at each other and they're like, well, we have to go and stop Doom. So Sue bubbles up with an invisible field, Ben and Reed, and Johnny just flies through.
He's like, I can go through this dimension.
Yeah, he's like, whatever.
Fuck, I'm made of fire.
Yeah. Which we've established is cool.
I know we needed these containment suits last time that Sue spent months working
Yeah.
on, but no, it's fine. We'll just go.
Also, there has to be oxygen on that planet now. Like, not only can they breathe, but he is made of fire, so presumably, if he doesn't have oxygen,
Yeah,
he
he can't
can't be on
combust.
fire, right? So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then they fly through it, and it starts the final battle, which is... I don't even know how to describe
it's
it.
just a shit
The
show.
less said about it, the better.
It's just a piece of shit.
It's
Yeah.
Doom throwing rocks at people, and
He makes big rock pillars, which are apparently like the 3 final pillars to destroy to stop the portal. It's like a
don't
video
know.
game. It's actually like the end of Doom. You gotta close the portal.
Yeah, you need to get to the well.
Yeah,
Maybe Doom was inspired by his movie, Phil.
maybe.
But I do want to point out, even though this fight scene sucks, it does have a few clever uses of teamwork, which is
Yeah.
rarely seen in superhero films, unfortunately. Where because they have, it's still because Doom could just blow their heads off, but it's cool because.
But he also gets knocked away because Reed stretches and punches him.
But it's cool because what happens is Johnny's throwing fireballs at him, and the first doesn't work. But
They
then
all try and fight him 1v1 first.
Yeah, but then when Reed's like, we have to work together, and, what happens is Johnny Storm throws his fireballs, and Sue makes his fireballs invisible, so Doom can't block them or dodge them. And then when they hit Doom, Sue makes a bubble around him, so the fireballs just burn his fucking entire body.
I love that, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They encase him in the fireball.
There you go. There's the highlight of the fight.
That really is. Oh, also, you forgot about the part
yeah.
that Doom puts rocks all over Thing and makes him out of
Bigger.
the fight. And then he puts rocks all over Human Torch. He's like, this is my power now. I'm an earthbender. Just everyone is covered in rocks.
He's it's just like Apocalypse with San Nito. He's Rock Nito.
Yeah.
San Nito.
Yeah, Rock Nito.
So because, as Reed explained, that Doom is the source of all of this.
Yeah, he says, Doom is the source!
Oh, and the other thing that's happening is there's, like, the black
yeah.
hole on the planet is tearing apart all matter and sucking it through to hell and putting it down into, like, this oblivion, like, field
Yeah.
that's just destroying it instantly.
And, like, they are killing thousands of people.
It's turning matter into pure energy.
Yeah. So, like, you see, like, roads and cars and trucks and, like, the landscape is being torn apart
Yeah.
as all this stuff flies through the portal.
Yeah, and to
gets
stop this
liquidated.
cataclysm, Reed says we have to stop Doom, because he is the source. So the Thing punches him into the beam, and as he's getting destroyed, Johnny's flying around destroying the 3 pillars.
Somehow. And
Yeah.
Reed says, now! And then there's, like, 10 seconds where he's like, huh? And then Thing comes out of invisibility, and they do it, like, 10 miles away so he can run up and say, it's clobbering time!
Yeah, and then he inflicts the same trauma onto Doom that he had inflicted on him.
Repeating the cycle of violence.
Yeah, Doom beats his son and says Kristoff and goes, it's clobbering time.
Yeah.
So Doom dies, the portal explodes, and but luckily they fly back to Earth.
So they go back to Earth, and there are these heroes that, they
The
said
military
that
that had locked them up has to meet with them now.
the public will never know what they did.
And the military says the public doesn't know what you did, but we know what you did.
What have you done?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they're like, what do they say? How long will it take you to get, like...
Are you
work
ready?
on-
Like, can you go back to do operations?
Yeah, and Reed says, no, we're done with you guys.
And they're like,
What are you gonna do if we don't take that no for an answer? And Ben just is looks at them and growls,
Yeah.
basically implying, if you want to keep us here, I'm going to fucking murder
I'm gonna fight
you.
the military.
And so the military is just like, okay, we'll give you a building. You can do your research. You can keep all your research.
You're gonna go.
And we'll give you unlimited money.
So they go from prisoner to partner in a cataclysm. I guess they were the only ones that knew the information about this. I don't know how the military thinks that they weren't just like lying and they caused it.
Yeah.
Like every other movie where they're like a giant tragedy
Basically,
befalls.
the facility exploded. The only survivors are these 4 mutants.
Yeah, because the entire thing got sucked up into the matter beam.
Yeah, and then they come out of hell and they're like, "Hey,
Yeah,
Give
now
us
we're
a
making
building.
demands, and the government's like, "You're right. Thank you, overlords."
And then we have so Ben. No one knows Ben. Sue never even met Ben. Just
Yeah,
to clarify.
no one knows who Ben is.
Yeah, but now they're all friends.
Yep.
Yeah, and Johnny says the most horrible thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. They're like, oh, what should we name ourselves? And Johnny's like, what about the 4 cool guys and the one piece of shit no one likes?
Yeah, he's like, how about the 2 brains, the cool guy, and the thing no one ever wanted?
yeah."
They think I should have been afforded by his mom.
And Ben's like, he like growls and like clenches his fist and reads like, you know, he's just kidding. First off, he doesn't know that. Second off, Johnny hasn't earned this. He barely knows Ben at all.
We
Yeah.
don't know that he's just kidding. Like
We don't know
we
Ben.
We don't know any of these people.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened in this movie.
But it's okay, because it ends with Ben looking over it and saying, "Gotta say, this place is pretty fantastic."
and then
Reed goes,
what did you say?
"No, say that again." He says, "What? It's fantastic."
Guys, I think I know what we're gonna be called.
Late title card. Boom. Fant4stic.
Also, let me ask Ben this question. What's fantastic? You don't know science, so this lab means nothing to you. Your whole life is ruined.
He knows screws, and there's probably a lot of things to screw in there.
Yeah, but he can't because he doesn't have a dick.
Not for him. He doesn't have a dick.
Oh.
We skipped over target audience, by the way.
I think we covered target audience in the very beginning when Darryl said no one should watch this movie.
Oh, yeah. So I think we all know our opinions, so we can brush over recap page. And,
It's just it's really a bad movie with a couple glimmers of hope.
yeah. So I just want to get to a few questions I want to ask you guys. I don't know questions, but like points of discussion. One, I really feel Fantastic Four above all properties. Like Phil said, he didn't like the 60s stuff because it was very campy. I feel Fantastic Four is the one comic property that the campiness is mandatory and inherent for it, because they're called the Fantastic Four. Like, no other team has an adjective in their fucking name. Like,
I mean, Reed Richards' superhero name is Mr. Fantastic.
See,
Yeah.
I disagree.
but like, okay, maybe my case first. So the villain is called Doctor Doom, and like
Sure.
he's unlike other villains. Like Magneto, they've told Magneto to now he's just a Holocaust survivor who wears a helmet to protect his mind from Professor X's mind race. He's no longer a Doctor Doom villain where he's wearing all these regal outfits and trying to rule the world. Doctor Doom is that 60s villain. Like, no, every other villain has been muted to that extent. Loki has been muted in that aspect. Every other villain in Marvel has muted that aspect of themselves to be more down to earth, more grounded, more realistic, more sympathetic. And even Doom is more sympathetic in a lot of cases, but he's never has stopped being the over the top comic book villain. He has Doombots that whenever Doom loses, he says, "Oh, it wasn't me. It was a fucking robot that thought he was Doom." Like, they are the superheroes. The Fantastic Four are the ultimate comic booky superheroes. Doom is the ultimate comic book super villain, and I think you have to embrace that.
Yeah.
And Fox with every property, with X-Men, with Daredevil, they're always like, how can we make this more realistic? How can we make these realistic, gritty characters? But you can't do Fantastic Four. You have to make them super comic booky.
And to me, that's what would make Fantastic Four actually stand out if they leaned into it. Because, like, to me, Doctor Doom in the 60s, he's great in the 60s, but I think he's even better now that they've humanized and, like, cut back on the crazy bombastic villains, that Doom stands out so much to me as, like, he is still that super dramatic villain that, like, is so classic that I feel like if they were to lean hard and make him like the dictator gypsy sorcerer that he is, like, I feel like that would stand out as so much fun leaning into the camp of it.
Yeah, you could potentially, like, I believe Marvel Studios could do that and make a good movie with them still being campy. But I think they can work if you mute them down.
His name is Victor Von Doom. He was born like, I will name my son Victor Von Doom.
So there's plenty of stupid superhero names.
I know, but like most of them
names.
usually try to subdue that. They give them like, I even complain about this. A lot of superhero films don't even use. They don't even name their characters by their villain names. Like Darryl doesn't call him the Kingpin; they just call him Fix the entire time. Like in that world, those worlds where they can't even use the supervillain name from the comics, they're going to call him Victor Von Doom and pretend like it's realistic.
The thing is, to me, one of the big charms of the Fantastic Four is, despite the campiness, they still have more heart than like any other franchise, and they're so like in this crazy, crazy bombastic world. They're still such like a tight knit group of like. It's a real family, and that's one thing that I feel like they haven't nailed on film yet. And like, I think you could ground it or you could not, but to me, for some reason, they won't lean into the family aspect when they make these movies, and I just don't get
They
it.
try, like the 2004 movie tried a bit.
They try a bit, but not enough.
Yeah. Again, I just think Fantastic Four hasn't been done well, and especially Doctor Doom hasn't been done well. I don't think it's a case of it's not possible to make them modern without, well, getting rid of the camp.
I'm not saying modern. I'm saying gritty and realistic, like Fox wants to make him.
Oh. I still think, again, you could do that, because we saw that during the terror parts, where it was, like, horrific. Where I think you could do
But that's not Fantastic Four. That'll be a thing based on Fantastic Four. That's not the Fantastic Four as they are.
Like, I would compare it to, like, Guardians of the Galaxy is, like, campy and hokey and really fun.
Yeah.
And, like, it still has a lot of heart. And to me, just watch The Incredibles. That's the best Fantastic Four movie.
Okay, actually,
And that's campy and hokey.
that's a very good point. The Incredibles is basically Fantastic Four.
At the end, they fight the Mole Man. They call him the Underground or something, but it's the Mole Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
But like, Phil, what do you think about this? Like, someone doesn't like Fantastic Four as much. Do you think Fox should continue trying to make him gritty and realistic?
I
or do
mean,
you think...
I don't. I think even
I don't want Fox to have this property anymore.
when I watched
same.
Daredevil, the Netflix TV series, I love that show, by the way. Even in that universe, which is pretty, they set it up as such a gritty place that when he got his costume, it was almost too much for me to fit in with this hyper realistic, gritty New York City. Like,
Yeah.
I think when you try, it's hard to set up a simultaneously very gritty world and have the comic booky stuff like bright costumes, like silly names, like that stuff often does not fit together in my view.
And you can get away with it more with a character like Daredevil than you can with a character like Mr. Fantastic who stretches.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so we ran real long
yeah.
talking about this because there's a lot to talk about. But so we're going to skip the letters page.
Fuck you all.
But just a reminder, we're on Google Play, Stitcher, and iTunes now. Rate and review us. Twitter and Gmail if you have any questions for us. Or Facebook. Divisive issues at everything.
So recommendations?
Yes. Who wants to go first?
I can go.
Cool.
Ryan went over the issue. It's Mark Wade's run where Doom becomes a sorcerer.
I actually originally was gonna recommend Wade's Run, but I have a different recommendation instead. But the thing I want to say about Wade's Run is his first issue is, to me, the best issue of the Fantastic Four ever written, and it sums up why they're so great and shows the family a lot. And it was also only 9 cents when it came out, and like that's how accessible it is. They basically gave it away for free because they were convinced that if you read this, you will love the Fantastic
Yeah.
Four.
If you spend 9 cents on this, you will spend $2 on the next issue.
Yeah, and it's wonderful.
Also, Doom being a sorcerer is a way if you don't want him to the technology scientist guy, and if you want to give him powers, it's a pretty cool way to do it.
Yeah. Doom's been a sorcerer from the beginning, but Wade really expanded.
Yeah, it's something that's something about the Doom is like all the elements that even like Wade and other writers pick up. They've always been in place. Like that's what like there's no like they've like the things that people have added to him are more like his character stuff, but like his actual plot elements have been intact since the '60s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who wants to go next?
My recommendation. I don't know
Elfin
why.
Lead.
No, well, they're very different, but the opening scene is similar. But for some reason, I always associate Fantastic Four with the video game Freedom Force. If you've ever played it, it's like a really campy superhero game where, you have a team of superheroes. They have to work together. It leans into the campiness of it, which Fantastic Four, I guess, probably does more in the comics than they did in this movie.
Yeah.
So if you like that idea of like very comic booky superheroes working together, and you like it plays like trying to think of what it played. Like Marvel Ultimate Alliance, kind of, but you can pause and.
Yeah, it's actually Marvel Alliance took notes from that. Like the gradation was first Freedom Force came out, then X-Men Legends, and Ultimate Alliance. Like each one was like evolution, basically in that process.
Yeah, so it's like a superhero RPG where you can like pause time and pick what abilities you're going to do. So you can have one of your guys make a force field, and then someone is like the Thing who just runs up and tanks the hits, and it's a lot of fun. And it's campy, but it's great. It came out in like 2000, 2001.
Yeah. And just to add to why it's a good recommendation, it was actually based specifically on Jack Kirby and Stan Lee's comics from the 60s. And all the characters are very, very vague, very thinly veiled, references to Stan Lee, Jack Kirby characters. Like, they have Man-Bun instead of Iron Man. They have Minuteman instead of Captain America.
I love that stuff. And I think you can even make your own superhero in there, too.
Yeah, you can. It's a really good game.
It sounds awesome.
Yep, it's awesome.
I'll go. I'm not going to recommend a comic book. Get fucked, Sly.
Now Fantastic Four after fucking jerking it off every time we talk about the movie?
Nope. I am going to recommend a Disney movie called Meet the Robinsons.
Not The Incredibles?
No, because that's obvious. Ultimate Fantastic Four and The Incredibles are too obvious.
You're a hipster, Ryan. Fuck you.
It's a fucking Disney movie. It's not obscure.
I have to choose something cool.
Like
Disney movies.
It's an animated movie that is about a little kid inventor who...
Wait, Disney animates movies?
Yeah, god damn it, guys. He's a little kid who's an inventor, and he's an orphan, and he goes into the future and sees, like, his family's legacy, and it's really, really fun, and it leans hard into the camp, and Adam West is in it, and it's just, like, if you like really fun, campy sci-fi that, like, has an emphasis on family, Meet the Robinsons is pretty great. Also, Danny Elfman does all the music, so it's really good.
Danny Elfman's always good. My recommendation is the best Fantastic Four movie, The Incredibles. That is the best Fantastic Four movie, but the best one of the Fantastic Four name is Fantastic Four from 1994. What happened was the master of cheap movies...
Sly made this movie, by the way. That's why he's been pushing it so hard. He's like, please.
He made it when he was 4 years old.
He's a corporate
out of
shill.
N64s.
So, the person who produced it was low budget specialist Roger Corman, and we mentioned him. We talked about Howard Duck, about basically they filmed a movie with the original Frankenstein and Jack Nicholson, and they finished the movie so fast, and they were like, we still have like a few weeks with these two actors. Let's just make a movie and like without even a script. And they just shot footage, and then they had to like glue the script together after filming it. They used to say like, basically like he could get the budget for a film at a phone booth and pay for it with the change in the phone booth. Like he was like infamous for very cheap movies, and this movie was one of them. But what happened was the studio basically they had the rights holders for the films, and they were going to lose the rights because they were supposed to make a Fantastic Four movie and they didn't. And they were going to lose the rights, so they went to Roger Corman and said, "Oh, can you make us this movie?" And they knew they're not going to release this movie. Like, there's no way. But the cast didn't know that. They thought we're making a sincere attempt at Fantastic Four, and the movie out of all of them is the most accurate. It has the most accurate Doom. He's a leader of Latveria. He has a castle. He's friends with Reed in college. Everything. It's not perfectly accurate, but it's the most accurate they've come. It has some weird elements, like there's a weird jewel thief underground that it's supposed to be the Mole Man, kind of, but he's like a weird rat monster instead.
So the Mole Man?
They have a more accurate Mole Man this film, ironically.
Danny DeVito.
No, that's a penguin.
Oh, shit.
I'm looking at the movie poster right now, and the tagline is part muscle, part elastic, part fire, part invisible. Together, it's clobbering time.
Oh, no! No, Big Brother, stop!
But yeah, like, if you wanted to see a legitimately, like, Oscar-winning movie, you don't see it.
I thought you were going to say...
If you want to compare how much...
You want to have fun?
If you want to compare... First of all, if you want to have fun, it's fun.
More like Fant4stic fun, right?
Boom. Fantastic Four.
Fant4stic.
Fant4stic.
And also if you want to compare like how stupid they are of these two movies, how stupid Fox is, like that they fuck it up so badly that fucking Roger Corman made a better movie than them. Go watch it for that too.
Okay.
One of the producers on the film actually went on to do the 2004 Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah, those are rights holders.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So do you guys think there's going to be a Fant4stic?
No, definitely not.
I really hope not. I really want. I know they're holding the license hostage. I really want.
We'll kill it if you don't give us.
I really want Marvel to snatch it up.
I think at this point, though, Marvel has so many properties that they'll just be like, Fox, what are you going to do? Keep losing money on it? Eventually,
oh,
they'll
I
just
need
give
a
it
good
up.
Doom. I need one.
Yeah.
Watch 1984 Fantastic Four. You get it.
Stop recommending me crap, Sly.
Okay, we've talked about this for too
Yeah.
long.
I'm Sly Crappa.
Wait,
What? Shut
no.
up, Sly.
Thanks for listening to Divisive Issues.
No thanks. I'm Sly Crappa.
Thank you. I'm Darryl Steffen.
Thanks. I'm Phil Maverick.
Yeah, eat it, Sly.
And thanks. I'm Ryan Lynch. Stay in continuity.